Hi, everyone. Well, the semester's almost over and we're getting to wrap it up. And it's entirely appropriate that we finish this semester with a study of William Shakespeare and Macbeth. If you're an English major or an English teacher, or if you just enjoy literature and language, you know Shakespeare. Shakespeare is in the very air we breathe because his writing is so good and it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And so we're all familiar with the words that Shakespeare created and the plays and the poems and just a genius at manipulating the English language. His true gift was the ability to bring characters to life. So the characters we encounter in plays, even a short play like Macbeth, seem very true to us, very real. Be sure to watch the videos and read the PowerPoint on Life and Times of William Shakespeare. Now, his life doesn't affect his writing as much as some of the others, like, say, Wordsworth or Emily Dickinson, of course, but you can see how his life kind of creeps in. There's a big question whether or not he actually loved his wife. And we have no evidence that he did or didn't, other than his will. There's no public documents. There's no video of him beating her or anything. But in his will, she's his wife. They've been married for a long time, and he only leaves her one thing: piece of furniture, the bed. And it's not even the best bed in the house; it's the second best bed. And he dies a wealthy man. He worked hard and earned back his father's wealth, and so it's kind of curious that he only leaves the second best bed to his wife. So we take a look at his poetry and his plays through that lens of his life. The play we're doing this semester, Macbeth, is really a good one. It's one of his shorter plays and it's very action packed, so it seems like it moves really fast. I encourage you, if you want like a side by side translation, you're welcome to get one of those. If you want to just read it in the Shakespearean English, no problem there, of course. But of course, the first thing you want to do with any piece of drama or any piece of literature is figure out who the characters are. Now, your play will have a list of the characters called the dramatis personae at the very beginning. So you need to kind of figure out who the main characters are and kind of understand their relationship to each other. Don't forget, Macbeth, Thane, is related to King Duncan. They're kin. They're probably uncle and nephew or cousins or something like that. Most of the royal members were related in some way at that time. But the play opens in a really unique way with the three witches. If you go onto YouTube, there's a really good video about different openings because Shakespeare wrote the play with meaning to keep it open. And so you have all these movie directors and play directors who have freedom to interpret, especially that opening scene, to interpret it different ways. And so you get a lot of different versions of the three witches. One of them it's three garbage men. One of them it's three old hags. One of them is three beautiful young women. It's just there's lots of variety, and each director does it for a different purpose. That's why you have to be careful. That's why you can't just sit back and watch a video. You really need to read the play, he says as he holds up the play every time, because you want to get Shakespeare's version, not Franco Zeffirelli's version or Leonardo DiCaprio's version or Ethan Hawke's version. You want his version. And then if you want to watch how someone else chooses to interpret those words, those actors, those characters, then that's great. And it will help you understand it better by watching a video. But it opens with the witches, and they make a terrible forecast, and then they meet Macbeth, Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, king yet to be, and it sparks this thing called ambition. Now, ambition is a human characteristic, a human vice, where we seek to get ahead. In our culture, ambition's not bad. College students go to college because they're ambitious. People grow and expand their businesses because they're ambitious. They build bigger houses, they buy nicer cars because they're ambitious and they want to appear more prosperous and more wealthy and more powerful. And we don't see that as a bad thing. Back then, they did. You were supposed to be happy with where you were. If you were upper class, that's great. If you're middle class, that's okay. If you're lower class, that's too bad, but that's your lot in life, and you just got to suck it up and be happy with it. So for Macbeth to want to become king and to want it so badly, he's willing to kill his own king, his own kin, his own host, three sins in one. This is a really, really bad thing. But Shakespeare doesn't stop there. He goes on and he makes his wife, the Lady Macbeth, the truly ambitious part of this play. And her ambition seems even more evil than his, because women are supposed to be sweet and kind and nurturing, and she says herself, I'm just not that kind of woman. Uh, if I had a baby and it was suckling at my breast and I wanted to become king, man, I would bash its brains out, which is a allusion to the Old Testament. You're welcome to look that up. But yeah, for she just appears very evil. Now, most directors will cast Lady Macbeth as being somewhat younger than uh, King Macbeth than the Macbeth. And there's a good reason for that. That was very common in those days. He might have been in her 40s, but if she's in her 20s, that's awfully young to be that ambitious, to be that driven, that obsessed with advancement and royalty. Another thing to remember, one of the things that made a good king in those days was generosity. If you're the king and you win a war, you are expected to be generous with the spoils of war. If you capture a lot of money, you're supposed to give that out to the knights and the warriors who served you, and those are the marks of a good king, generosity. And so when the King Duncan gives Lady Macbeth a huge diamond upon arrival at her castle, and so that's just a symbolic gesture. Well, it's not a symbolic gesture; it's a literal gesture of how generous he is and what a good king he is. Uh, be sure you know the minor characters: who's for Macbeth, his good friend Banquo, and who's against him, his enemy Macduff, and King Duncan and his sons and their role in all this. And it moves really fast. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and the witches' prophecies. The witches' prophecies. Now we know that Shakespeare wrote this play for a very specific reason. Queen Elizabeth I has just died. King James I, who was King James VI of Scotland, has just become King of England, and he's trying to impress the new king. He's trying to impress King James I. And he knows that King James I believes in witches. He actually wrote a book about witches, how to control witchcraft and witches. And so he's trying to impress him by including these witches and their prophecies and their magical powers and how scary they are. And so he does all this with a reason, and he makes the witches very believable, which most of Shakespeare's audience believed in witches anyway. But he puts them to good use in the play. So as you go through the play and you kind of see what's happening, um, keep in mind the theme of ambition, especially dark ambition, evil ambition, overwhelming ambition, obsessive ambition, the get ahead at all costs, which even today is a pretty bad thing. But back then it was just a really terrible vice. And he dies at the end. It is a tragedy. Basically, everybody dies. But yeah, Macbeth. You might ask yourself, does Macbeth redeem himself? Um, I don't really think so, but you may. It's an interesting play, and there's a lot of good interpretation there. And I encourage you to go through it and kind of read a page or two and then summarize the plot. Just kind of write down your own words, what happened, make a list of the characters so you can remember who's who and what their relationships are. And there's also a theme of insanity running throughout the play. What does it mean to be insane? If you see something's not there, does that make you insane? Or what is the role of peer relationships? How much do we depend on our friends? How much do we depend on those people who are on the same level as us? And what does it mean to just go after it? So anyway, I hope you'll enjoy this play. It's a really, really good play. Learn a little bit about Shakespeare before you read it. Take good notes as you read it. And if you have any questions, let me know.